the end. It comes out to Tom James. Good job! Oh, what a goal! What a goal for Tom James! Oh, that was special!
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Orient Live. It's a very long journey for the O's this afternoon as they travel up to Cumbria as we face Paul Simpson's Carlisle, the playoff winners in League Two last season. But we managed to do the double over them, so hopefully today will be just as impressive. We've got very similar records as well. They won their last trip out last weekend against Bolton, so it's sure to be an interesting one, and we're going to be bringing you every single second of the action here on Orient Live. And of course, don't forget that today is available to stream in the UK and internationally. So if you're watching on our YouTube, then don't worry, you can head over to the Match Centre and pick up your pass. But we are delighted to be safe and firm here. We're not up in Cumbria, we're in the E10 studio, thankfully, and I'm delighted to be joined by Jabo Ibehre and journalist Brendan Pitcher. And well, boys, it's good to be back. A fantastic result against Reading last week with that last minute winner from George Moncur. An opportunity to get even more points on the board.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the lads are going to be buzzing. It always feels great when you get a last minute winner as well. And then that takes the heat of that sort of journey all the way to Carlisle, because it is a hell of a journey. So, but hopefully there's a feel-good factor about this game, and hopefully we get a good result. As
we just said as well, we did the double over them last season. Probably came up a little bit luckily through the playoffs. Stockport unlucky to not go up after all their hard work that season. But the cliche, it's always a tough test.
Yeah, it's a tough trip, certainly, in terms of the fact you've got to go up there and make that journey. But I think it's slightly easier these days because you stay overnight. But in terms of form-wise, I think it's a winnable game. Great result from them last time out to beat Bolton 3-1. But when you look at their record, they don't score a lot of goals. They're a little bit, they concede some as well. And it's a game where I think if we've got want to push on from not just being content with avoiding relegation, if we want to push on towards that top half and maybe even towards the playoffs, then we've got to be looking at games like this as ones where we can pick up all 3 points.
Well, we are one of very few games on in the English football pyramid today due to the international break. But the good news is, of course, that we're playing, and also, as I said earlier, it's available to stream in the UK as well as internationally. So head over to the website that is on screen now to pick up your match streaming pass and make sure you watch along with us here on Orient Live. But now, let's hear from the main man, the gaffer, Richie Wellens.
Carlisle to come on Saturday, our longest trip of the season. We've obviously played them a couple of times last year, so what can we expect from them?
A really tough place to go, obviously, because it's a big pitch, good ground, good support, and also the logistics of it is obviously a long way for us. But I don't know, I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Carlisle. I remember a couple of years ago when I went there with Swindon, and you get these supporters behind the dugout and they just give you pelters for the whole 90 minutes. I wonder if that Swindon I had a little nibble, and as soon as I nibbled, he's gone, he's took the bait, he's blah blah blah. And I promised myself that when we did go up there last year, that I wouldn't nibble. And I think the fact that I didn't nibble actually got on their nerves. So some of the comments went a bit too far. But all's forgiven in love and war. And yeah, I've got a soft spot. I like Simo. I think he's a great guy. I played obviously with Simo, and I got a lot of time for him. He's a brilliant left foot. Done a fantastic job. It's amazing that not last season before, the 3 clubs that are really fighting for survival, the 3 managers that came in, myself, Steve Evans and Simo, then the next season I'll get promotion. I don't think that would happen too many times, but it's a bit of a sleeping giant, Carlisle. The pull and the attraction of the area is huge. So yeah, good club and a brilliant manager.
They've had on paper maybe a difficult start to the season. We've got a really impressive win last time out away at Bolton. How much do you think they would have taken from that?
Well, I've obviously watched that game. Real threat on a counter-attack, good shape. very aggressive in the terms that they will follow you man for man, and they back themselves. But I think it was a really good performance. Bolton are a really, really good team. And I think in the end, Bolton kind of ran out of ideas, and Carlisle frustrated them and got them on the counter on several occasions. So it's going to be a tough game, different game, because obviously they're at home. We really struggled there last year. We went 3-1 up and we was playing against 10 men, but they was outstanding. It was one of the toughest games that we had. So, yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity for us to win the game.
Well, it was a brilliant performance last time out at Carlisle in last season's 3-1 victory, and some fantastic goals were scored, and hopefully we can bring you the same level of entertainment today. Let's take a look now at how the O's are lining up as we prepare to face Paul Simpson's Carlisle. And there is just the one change for the O's as Ethan Galbraith comes back from suspension and he replaces last week's last-minute goal-scoring hero George Moncur, who drops to the bench, and starting in goal is number 1, Sol Bryn. We have number 4, Ed Turns, number 5, Dan Happy, and number 12, Brandon Cooper. They are our 3 centre-backs today. In the right-back position is number 32, Rob Hunt. Also the goal scorer from last week, a fantastic volley from number 8, Jordan Brown. Wearing the armband and joining Jordan in midfield is number 15, Idris El Mazouni. That one change, as we've already said, is number 22, Ethan Galbraith. Number 11, Theo Archibald, plays in that offensive left wing-back spot. And then the 2 up top, or as Brendan might say, the 1 up top, and the 1 just behind him is 10, Ruel Thierry, and 9, Joe Pigott. And on the bench for the O's is Sam Howes, Tom James, Jaden Sweeney, George Moncur, Aaron Drynan, Shakai Ford, and Jordan Graham. So, what do you make of the one change he's gone for this week? It's a big call from Richie to drop the goal scorer from last Saturday's game.
Yeah, it is, but then it's good competition. It just shows that he trusts his squad. He's happy to sort of play people that he thinks that are on form is going to have a particular stance on the game, and it's an interesting call, because sometimes if you score last minute goal, you kind of almost think it's a passport through to the next game I'm going to start. But you know, I like that when the manager does something a bit different and shows that, you know, I'm going to pick the people that suit the game or that are showing this current form, etc. And it's be an interesting call. Hopefully it works.
Is it an indication to you, Brendan, about maybe how Richie plans to set up that midfield and those front 2?
Yeah, I think we spoke to George after the game last weekend, and he spoke about the transition this season in terms of last season it was a different position, a different league, he had a lot more time on the ball, and this season it's a slightly different position for him, and one where he's got to adapt his game, and he spoke a lot about how he's been trying to adapt in terms of being able to run in behind and make those runs that the number 8's do in this formation. Idris El Mazouni has been doing it fantastically, and Max Sanders was doing a really good job of that until he unfortunately got injured last weekend. So I think in terms of just having a player that fits that role, I think Galbraith is the obvious choice. I think he's looked really, really good when he's played. He's just kind of been fitted into the team wherever he can, whether it be at right back or on the wing or wherever. But I think today we're seeing him in a number 8 position that really, really suits him, shows his quality. Probably a little bit silly to get sent off against Fleetwood, but now he's back, and Richie showing his faith in him by obviously picking him, like you said, over last weekend's goal scorer, George Moncur.
And how do you think they will all line up with Ruel and Joe Pigott factored into things?
Yeah, it's a really interesting formation we've got now. I think we're going to come on to Jordan Brown later, but he kind of plays in the base of midfield, and then, like I said, you have the 2 8s either side with El Mazouni, and Galbraith will be looking to kind of get wide when we've got the ball and try and create overloads on those sides. And I think Ruel Thierry kind of has an interesting role himself as well, where I think his responsibilities are basically just, when we haven't got the ball, press and work hard. When we have got the ball, get yourself into goal scoring positions, because that's his biggest strength, and then he plays slightly off Joe Pigott as a target man. So I think it's a formation now that's taken place over these last few games, and it's one that's clearly working if you look at the results.
Well, let's take a look back at some of our best bits from last Saturday's game against Reading, and maybe it might look a little bit fortunate to get a last-minute winner in the style that we did, but we got balls in so well. We created chances. We had an XG of 2.15, so we definitely deserved the goals that we did get.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were dangerous. We had some really good chances, and in the crucial areas, we actually almost made majority of them count. We were getting something, we were getting a shot away, and it just goes to show that we're looking fitter, we're looking stronger. And when a team does get those last minute winners or last minute equalisers, it just shows that there's a good belief, there's a good energy, there's a good fitness level, and I think we're adapting to this league now very well. And I felt at the start we were finding our feet, but I think we're slowly coming into our own.
Just over 70% possession too, Brendan. And I mean, possession means nothing, but this is what matters. And we fought hard along with that possession, didn't we?
Yeah, I think the possession is an interesting point because I think after the Stevenage game we shut up shop a little bit in terms of the games against Exeter and Peterborough. I looked at the possession stats from those games, and I think the average from those two games was around 36, 38, which is obviously a stark contrast from last season where we'll be seeing like 60 to 70 in most games. And then it seems like Richie's tried to adapt the formation, so I think where he's gone to the 5 at the back now, I think the Exeter and Peterborough games were the first kind of proper outings of it. It was kind of safety first, defensive, a little bit direct, and just do what we got to do to get results. Whereas now I'm seeing in recent games kind of this transition where he wants to kind of play this 3 at the back system, but play it in his way where we associate a natural Richie Wellens football in terms of keeping the ball well, creating overloads, and that's what we saw against Reading in terms of the 70% possession, and ultimately it was successful because we got the win.
And we saw chances being created as well. Probably the 2 goals we scored weren't the easiest chances we even had. Ruel Satiru hit the crossbar, Joe Pigott hit the crossbar with a header as well. They seem to be growing into this formation and the way we're playing too.
Yeah, it definitely looks like they're finding their feet and building a little relationship there. And I often felt that once they get up to speed, especially Pigott, once they get into that rhythm and the game slowly, you have more time on the training ground, not so many games, he will get into his rhythm. I'm beginning to see that he's looking more dangerous. He's looking to shoot. He's getting some good chances. So with the way we're playing and we're looking at like a threat as well, it's all going in the right direction.
Well, it certainly is. Well, we're very delighted now though to share that we've got a very special person waiting, ready to join us all the way from the United States of America. It's the chairman, Nigel Travis. Nigel, welcome to Orient Live and thank you for joining us. And first of all, how impressed have you been with Orient since their return to League One, and how excited are you for this afternoon's fixture?
Well, it's actually good afternoon over there, but it's really nice having the connection with you. You're my link to watching all the games, and I think it's important that everyone knows this is just how I watch it every single week. I think you've actually summed it up. I think we're growing into the league. We had that really tough start, and as I've said a few times, we actually ended up with 1 more point in the first 4 games than I expected. But I'm very pleased with the last few weeks. I know we had a bit of a setback at Fleetwood, and so I'm very pleased, very happy, and I think we have a good squad that's developing fast.
And of course, today it's an international break, so everyone in the country can watch, everyone abroad can watch as well. But next weekend's also a special one with the International Day that's being hosted by the club. Can you maybe just tell us a little bit about what's happening there?
Well, it's our second International Day. For those who are still interested in going, it starts about 12:30. You have a tour of the ground, you have a lunch, you see the game, you meet with the women's team afterwards. Richie does a Q&A. We then have dinner with the players after, all for £349, which I know sounds a lot, but you get a lot for it. Even get some Orient goodies to go away. We're way up on last year. I think we have as many as 40 people coming from America. Some people have never seen a game before. And this is part of the reason we do it, is to try and attract people to London, which is a big attraction. A number of people watch games in other sports or other Premier League games on the Sunday, so they make a weekend of it. And a lot of people come from over here in the States. And people always think it's a long journey. It isn't. To go from Boston to the UK, I'm averaging 5.5 hours. So a lot of people just come over for the weekend, and we want to increase our fan base. And our fan base isn't just the people moving into the new homes across from the stadium at the back of the West Stand. It is now international, and that is the continent, obviously Asia. We got a lot of fans in Australia, but I think America is a really big market. And a question I get at least 5-6 times a week, will Leyton Orient ever do a Wrexham? And my answer is, okay, we're one league ahead. The league they've just gone into, we got promoted out of last year. So it's building our fan base globally, and it's very important.
So will Wrexham ever do an Orient, basically? You touched on it briefly, but why is it important, really, in the grand scheme of things, for what you and the board want the club to achieve? Why is a day like this so important?
Well, to put it simply, we want more revenue. I mean, if you look into the way that redistribution is going to get done, it's going to be done on revenue. We don't have the largest stadium. We hold about 9,000. And we have to find ways of growing revenue beyond the attendances. Streaming is, I'll be straightforward, a very lucrative way of us picking up revenue. We also look at other events. So if some people can come once or twice a year to the stadium, they then buy a lot of gear. But one thing we're even thinking about for next year, and I want to say thinking about, this is not certain, we may do a pre-season tour into this area, in the Boston area. And we think a lot of fans, Leyton Orient fans, would love to come over here for a few days. There's a lot of flights, which means that the price is affordable. They can stay in this area, see some of the great history of Boston, see the players train. We've even talked about running an event in my backyard. Back garden, to do it in English. And really make it a great opportunity. Mark thinks we could get several hundred people interested in coming over. But I think football, the way it develops, is about getting fans engaged in what we do. We know a lot of fans go to places like Spain and Portugal. We think they might come over here. The weather's normally great in the summer. Boston is a fantastic place to come with all its history. It's on the ocean, etc. So that's our current thoughts, and we'll keep working on that idea.
Well, I'll personally look forward to a little trip out to Boston. I'm sure Brendan and Jabo will too. But thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, you guys could come.
Well, but we look forward to it. Just firstly, or lastly, sorry, your expectations for this afternoon's kick-off. It's a good chance to pick up some more points, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Jabo who said it. We actually got 6 points out of them last year. Last week's result was a little bit bizarre for them, winning at Bolton, who I'm actually looking forward to going to Bolton. That's one of the games I got on my calendar. I like going to away games, so I'm doing that in December. But that was a surprising result. So they may be tougher than we think. But I'm going in, as I always do, confident. I've got great faith in Richie and the coaching staff. And I said to Richie last Saturday, because I talked to him after every game, we had a lot of corners, and he promised me he was going to practice a lot more this week. So let's hope our set plays really come to fruition this week. So I'm looking forward to the game. I think it's going to be a good measure of where we stand.
Well, thank you once again, Nigel, and I hope you enjoy watching along from Boston, and I'm sure some of the fans will be getting excited with what you had to share there. But have a fantastic morning or afternoon there, and we'll see you next week for that International Day.
Thank you. See you guys.
And so, of course, all eyes now turn towards the game and the goal scorer from last week, Jordan Brown. He was fantastic, wasn't he? Well, we caught up with him earlier in the week to get his thoughts ahead of this afternoon's fixture.
And looking forwards now, it's Carlisle to come on Saturday. They had a great result up at Bolton last weekend. They're a team we obviously know quite well, having played them twice last year. What can we expect from them?
The game last season, it's a lot about second balls. They're a team that battle. We do want to go there and play, but first and foremost, you've got to win your battles, and that's the same every week. Win your duels, and then when you can get it down, you get it down and play. And I think what we've improved as a team is mixing it up since, probably the Stevenage game, really. I think we've mixed it up very well of when to play and when to go long and fire. And we're going to need to do that and be able to adapt on the job at the weekend.
Have you found the step up from League Two to League One?
Do you know what? I think, like, obviously when you've played in League Two for the first time last season, I'm going into that league not really knowing what to expect, and now you've moved up a league, it's like you don't really know what to expect either. And our goal at the start of the season was a hard one to sort of predict and put on yourself, because it's like you don't sort of know what to expect because you've not been here for, is it 5-6 years, the club? I don't think it's that big of a jump, to be fair, and I think we've got the capabilities in the squad to really kick on and start pushing up the table as much as we can.
Having had sort of 10-11 games or so now you have had a chance to sort of gauge where we're at. Where do you think we are at? Where do you think we can get to?
I 100% think like we can definitely, push up the table towards the playoff places. And I think I'm not too sure, obviously, about the points from the Lincoln game or whatever. I saw we were in 9th position on the weekend. I'm not too sure if that's correct or if it's 15th, 16th. But it's still early days, and we can 100% keep building points tally up and moving up towards them places.
Well, what a player Jordan Brown is turning out to be for the club, really, and he, a great goal last weekend, and we've seen glimpses of that, and he's getting that run now, and he is proving to be a kind of really good signing from that. Was it the January of 2022?
Yeah. We've kind of always said this about every week about Jordan Brown. Never lets you down, brilliant player, keeps things simple, but it was kind of like, he's a bench option, comes in when someone was injured, never really had a proper run in the team. And now in probably the last 2 or 3 weeks, I think he's becoming that player where if you don't see him on the team sheet, you're going to be like, oh, where's Jordan Brown? Like, he is making that role at the base of midfield his own. And he's doing such a good job and only helps to add goals like he did last Saturday's game as well.
Let's take a look at some of his best bits and what his game's about, really, because it's hard to pinpoint what it is. He can get forward, he can defend well, he gets his blocks in, he wins his headers, he does it all, really. Yeah,
he's an all-round midfielder, isn't he? And to be an all-round midfielder, you need to start scoring goals like that more regularly. But if he can do that more often, that would be brilliant. But yeah, just the defensive awareness, keeping things simple in midfield in terms of winning the ball, distributing it well, and being strong in the tackle. And I think it's been really interesting to see how Richie's used him this season, because I think there was a time last season where obviously we had El Mazouni and both Jordan Brown in the same midfield, but El Mazouni would always probably normally be the 6, be the deeper one. This season, Richie's kind of switched it around. Idris plays a little bit more forward in the number 8 position, and Jordan Brown's trusted at the base of midfield, and I think that's a key one for Richie, because I know how much he rates that number 6 position into how integral it is for the rest of the team. So for him to trust Jordan with that this season, it shows how much he trusts Jordan.
He's a young player as well, and we've heard him speak, Jabo. He sounds like he's got a really good head on his shoulders, and he just looks so comfortable. I think he's what, 22, 23? He's still a young boy.
Yeah, he's got impressive temperament there, and the way he came across on camera was really good, and it transcends into his game, because he's very brave. You see there, he goes in full-heartedly with the tackles, he gets up, goes again, he can play, he doesn't dilly-dally with the ball, he's concise, and I think we might see the real Jordan Brown emerge this season as being one of our best performers.
Right, then we haven't got too long until kick-off, so of course don't forget, if you're still watching along live on our YouTube stream, then everyone in the world internationally and in the UK can stream today's game due to the international break, so head over to the website on screen now. But before we look any further, let's take a look at how the home side are lining up for this afternoon's fixture. So in goal for Carlisle is number 1, Thomas Holy, number 2, Finn Back, number 3, Jack Armour, number 4, Owen Moxon, number 5, Sam Lavelle, and he's wearing the armband for them, number 7, Jordan Gibson, number 8, Callum Guy, number 10, Alfie McCalmont, number 14, Joe Garner, number 22, John Mellish, and 24, Sean Maguire. And on the bench for Carlisle is Jockle Anderson, Ryan Edmondson, Terry Ablade, Corey Whelan, Jack Robinson, Ben Barkley, and Luke Plange. So they did well to get up last year, Jabo. Let's make no bones about it. They did it the hard way, but you were there at Wembley, and they probably deserve to be where they are now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, most people, like a lot of players will say, if they knew they were going to get promoted through the playoffs, they'll choose the playoff because it's such an occasion. You know, you get to play at Wembley, and then when you play in that final, and you win, it's just great celebrations. And I was there. The last minute goal to get them into extra time. I was jumping around, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, it was fantastic, and they came through because no one really sort of expected them to. I think the money was on Stockport to go and do it, but they were strong. They got better each time, and they fantastically got up, and they've done well so far.
Well, we won't have any of those celebrations today, Jabo, not for Carlisle at least. But they've got some good players there as well. And I remember the fixtures last season. We managed to get 6 points, but they've got some players, and in particular, they're for Owen Moxon.
Yeah,
he's a fantastic player, which we'll see some of now.
Yeah, Owen Moxon was integral in their, the way they performed last season. I think he got about 15 assists. He was at the heart of everything last season. And considering where they picked him up from, because he was released by Carlisle as a youngster, then he went down into the Scottish League and they picked him up again, and he came in just a new player, and he's fantastic. His deliveries, his set plays are really good. He can see a pass. He's strong. He's a Cumbrian lad, and he fights for the team. And
it's a player that I've heard you speak a lot about, Brendan. You're really impressed by this young man.
Yeah, I think he's brilliant, and like Jabo says, really admire his story of kind of getting released by Carlisle, going out to Scotland, playing semi-pro and working as a delivery driver, and then making his way back to Carlisle, where he's achieved a promotion last season as their player of the season. And I was kind of surprised that they managed to keep hold of him, because I thought he was one of the standout players in League Two last season, and they managed to get him tied down to a new contract. And like we're seeing here, he's continued to be integral for them in that midfield. So I'm really looking forward to this battle today between him and El Mazouni and Jordan Brown, because it's some good, young, really talented midfielders in there today.
It's certainly going to be an exciting one. Well, before we head up to Cumbria, let's remind ourselves of how the O's are lining up for this afternoon's fixture. So it's just the one change from last Saturday's win over Reading, with number 22 Ethan Galbraith coming in as George Moncur drops to the bench. And in goal for the O's is number 1 Sol Bryn, number 4 Ed Turns, 5 Dan Happy and 12 Brandon Cooper will start in the centre-back positions, with number 32 Rob Hunt in the right wing-back. Our one to watch and the goal scorer from last Saturday is number 8 Jordan Brown. Wearing the armband is number 15 Idris El Mazouni. That one new man coming in is number 22 Ethan Galbraith. In at left wing back is number 11 Theo Archibald, and then the two up top is Ruel Soteriou and Joe Pigott. And on the bench for the O's, Sam Howes, Tom James, Jaden Sweeney, George Moncur, Aaron Drynan, Shaq Ford and Jordan Graham. So an interesting one, but it does feel like Richie's really starting to find his best 11, making little changes, but it's becoming consistent, and the points are showing.
Yeah, of course. Throughout the season, that's what you're trying to establish. What players I can rely on. What's my shape? What's my team? And you're beginning to see that more. What's even nice to see is the bench is looking strong as well. There's a lot of good players now coming back from injury, finding their feet, finding their form, and we can mix up if needed. But it's coming. We're getting there now. Like I said, I think it was about acclimatising to the league, because I think it's a bit different physically and on the demands, but we're getting there, and hopefully results will follow as well.
Theo Archibald ran them ragged probably this time last year in that away fixture. He's a player that has been looking up for it in recent weeks as well, and if he can get the game by the scruff of the neck and do something special.
Yeah, he was excellent in that first half against Reading. Probably unlucky that he didn't get a couple of assists for Joe Pigott, and he'll be looking for more of the same today.
He certainly will be. Well, the teams are making their way out onto the pitch up in Cumbria, so it's time to hand over to our commentary team with Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.
Good afternoon and welcome to the far north, and I am really looking forward to this one. I think we've got two very good sides. Both will believe that they can win this match, and both come into the game on the back of good results last weekend. The O's, of course, overcoming Reading in very emotional circumstances, and Carlisle surprised a few people with their result at Bolton Wanderers.
Yeah, it was a massive win for them, wasn't it, Dave? Just their second win of the league campaign, and as you rightly say, two teams that last season fiercely competitive battles. The O's with that wonderful 3-2 victory up here, but let's be honest, it was a harsh result on the home side, and then back in E10, a massive afternoon where it could have all been different had Mellish scored when he rounded Vigouroux, but he didn't, and of course the O's went on and won the title.
Thomas Parsons was the referee, and the chairman of Carlisle got a letter of apologies. He was the referee in the playoff final when they beat Stockport County.
Yeah, it was a really interesting afternoon, wasn't it, here? A couple of harsh decisions, I think, the truth be told, but it's all about the here and now, and with Carlisle picking up that vital win for them last weekend, I'm sure that would have been the tonic they need back here at Brunton Park. Good crowd, good atmosphere in Cumbria this afternoon. Crowd, good atmosphere.
9 at home for Carlisle. That was back in early September against Shrewsbury, and it is one away win in 6 this season for the O's.
Yeah, I think Paul Simpson's side have taken time to find their feet. I think for the O's as well, now starting to feel like they may be doing the same. As we mentioned, this will be a very competitive game. And when we look at Carlisle's side, just the one change really from the side that they came up with last season. 3 changes, of course, or additions in that Orient lineup with the likes of Galbraith, Piggott and Cooper. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Absolutely, and before the start of the game there is going to be a minute's silence, and that's for Israel and Palestine. Carlisle United in the all-blue kit, and it's all white for Leyton Orient this afternoon. Both sets of players now join the referee around the centre circle, and we hand over to the PA announcer here at Brunton Park.